Attention 5-9 gamers, we are back with another installment of your favorite Dokkan Battle podcast called the Dokkan Battle Podcast. I'm your host Toonrami, and joining me this week, part-time stand user and full-time Super Battle Road King, the Masked Ningen.
Yo, how's it going everybody? Good to be here once again.
The Dokkaner who spits nothing but fire, DBZ Blaze.
Yo, what's up everyone? How's everyone doing?
Number one local Blue Kaioken Goku hater, Minato's Flash.
Hi everyone, nice to see you.
The homie who needs no introduction, Goresh.
Nice to see everybody again.
Make sure you guys are locked in across all of our social media platforms and connect today with the 59G network. Follow us on Twitch, Twitter, subscribe to our YouTube, join the Discord, check out the Facebook fan page, the Reddit, the website, everything. Links are everywhere. Make sure to check us out. Before we get started, actually, wait, no, I forgot. It's been a little while. Let's get started with today's episode, episode 36, Anything is Better with Garlic. So let's start with, of course, the big news coming out of JP, Garlic Jr., Gohan, the new Dokkan Fest. Turns out it's not going to be Garlic Jr. Let's just open it up right away. What are your guys' thoughts on the news that we found out that Gohan is in fact the Dokkan Fest, not the Garlic Jr.? Did you expect this? Are you happy with the TURs that we're getting? What are your thoughts?
For me, we kind of knew, well, I mean, at least in my opinion, it was pretty obvious that he wasn't going to be the Dokkan Fest because V-Jump never said that he was going to be the Dokkan Fest. And for every single past Dokkan Fest, they specified that. So for me, I thought it was maybe either going to be one of two things. It was going to be a double rates banner with him on it or, you know, just a banner unit. And he ended up being a banner unit. So I think they did a good job with him anyway. So I'm not really super bummed out about it or anything. So
Have they ever done that before? Just showed in V-Jump, just showed the card that was going to be the side banner unit? Because it seems like a weird thing to do.
They did show 21, but with 21, they specifically said that she would be on a Dokkan Fest banner.
Yeah. I guess that makes sense because she was kind of like the figurehead character of like the Fighters crossover as well. But
yeah. I mean, Garlic Jr. kind of makes sense because it's the first time he's ever going to be in the game. So maybe that's why they did it. But I don't know.
Well, I was going to ask, is this... I mean, Garlic Jr., how big of a name is he in the JP side of things? He doesn't seem like a household name in the Dragon Ball community. So even though he's showing up for the first time, doesn't really seem like the smart sales pitch to put him on V-Jump, right?
He's a zero.
hey.
So, yeah, exactly.
Ouch.
Have you not? I mean, they must have seen all the memes. Apparently, maybe they took them seriously and they're like, wow, everybody really wants Garlic Jr., huh? So...
Well, I mean, remember they had that poll on the, well, not really a poll, but it was like a free response answer on one of the surveys where it was like, out of the characters that aren't in the game yet, like, what do you want? I guarantee you, like, every global player who doesn't even play the JP version answered with Garlic Jr.
Yeah, probably.
I remember, I think like the survey after the 6th anniversary, they mentioned something about adding Garlic Jr. Like they specifically stated Garlic Jr. from what I recall. So
Yeah,
it was kind of a telltale sign.
It was that same survey. They said, for example, Garlic Jr.
Minato, go ahead. Why don't you also talk to us about this unit? What are your thoughts on this Garlic Jr. as a unit overall?
So I think this Garlic Jr. is super good. I mean, it's pretty clear to see 160% attacking defense, the extreme class support of 3k and 40% attacking defense. You basically just want to run him in any extreme class team. He has great links. The only thing is that he doesn't really hit the hardest, but I feel like with everything else considering in his kit, he's like a must run, like a really good floater as well. I really do like the unit a lot. I feel like he's like a top 3 banner unit or something like that, you know. It's really good.
Anyone else have a follow-up?
No, I just think that him being a support type just for a stream class just really puts his value out there. Just because, again, with most of the support or the banner units or support units, they're usually like category restricted, but this being extreme class, it really just limits him. So in my opinion, I think he's a very good value, especially with his very high defense at fully rainbow status and level 10 links. I think he's at, 250k at least defense, if I remember correctly. That's just really a very good support type unit. I think they aced it.
Yeah, in my opinion, the thing that makes him valuable is his links. Big Bad Bosses, Thirst for Conquest, Nightmare, Fierce Battle, like Metamorphosis, these are all crazy good links. The only one link that I don't really like is Demonic Wave. But I mean, that's just because he's Garlic Jr. But I feel like as long as he fits on a villain-centric team, so like Terrifying Conquerors, right? Or you can do a villain version of Time Travelers with like the Goku Black units. You could do a Transformation Boost villain team. You could do a Resurrected Warriors villain team, like Bojack-centric team like that. All those variations of those teams, this guy's going to work super well on because of his links and the support. So, I mean, he's just, as long as he fits on a team with villains, you put him on there. That's it.
I feel like the one unfortunate thing, though, is that since he's from the filler arc, he's not a movie bosses, but he would work so well on that category with, like you said, Thirst for Congress, Big Bad Bosses, and being a support unit as well. It's pretty nice.
Yeah. Even for Janemba as well, Janemba would be a very good partner for him.
The one thing I was going to say is the only thing I wish they would have done is I wish they would have made him Extreme Tech, because this would have been the missing link for that team.
Yeah.
Like he fixes all of the problems on that team.
Yeah.
But they have to shaft Extreme Tech, so.
Speaking of Super Battle Road, how are we feeling about these categories, and what are the Super Battle Road implications? What are some teams you guys are seeing some of these videos coming out? You guys gonna be doing some no item runs with some Super Battle Road teams with Garlic Jr.? Which ones are we looking at?
Yeah, no item run with Inhuman Deeds. That sounds good.
It's not gonna be too fun.
I think the All-Out Struggle might be difficult if you don't have the Int Vegeta. Now, this is only on JP, so fortunately we can't try it out yet. But I think All-Out Struggle, there's not really a unit that can tank pretty well before the super attack, or sorry, after the super attack. So I think that one's be pretty difficult for a lot of players. It's also very small.
Wait,
I think
Garlic Jr.'s not on All Out Struggle though.
No, I'm just talking about. Are we talking about the Super Battle stages?
Well, no, I meant like with Garlic Jr. in mind.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I missed that.
Yeah,
so given the categories that he's on, are we digging the categories? Are we missing any? And then what are some of the Super Battle Road implications with this unit and those runs? Ningen, go ahead.
No.
I mean, for the new stages, he's only on Revenge, but I mean, it's kind of the same thing that people were saying just about him in general. He's so good that he basically just fits on any team. Like any team you can put him on, that you're running a bunch of extreme units, you probably want to use him. Like even just having like the heal at the end of the turn is nice when it comes to things like Super Battle Road. And then obviously depending on the stage and the enemies that you're fighting, he does have a chance to stun as long as it's against super class enemies. So not only is he a good support unit, but he does also have a lot of utility for things like Super Battle Road. So unfortunately for the new stages, he's only in one of them. But if you still need to beat any of the other existing stages that he's on, he absolutely would be good for any of those teams.
I think the one category this guy's missing is full power. Look at him and tell me he's not supposed to be on full power.
Look at his name.
Thinking.
Super Garlic Jr. It's not even Garlic Jr. It's Super Garlic Jr.
Look at him. Is he not full power? Like, is that, dude? If that's not his full power, I'm scared to see what his full power is. It looks like.
His full power is that he doesn't skip leg day.
He doesn't skip leg day.
He's literally Dragon Ball Z version of like Jiren, right? That's what he is.
Oh,
and green.
Only using 1% of his power at all times.
But you guys have already been talking about it, so might as well go into it. We've got some new Super Battle Road stages coming to JP. So I'll quickly list out the stages that we're getting. We're getting Exploding Rage, Revenge, Team Bardock, Inhuman Deeds, Gresh's favorite, Earthlings, Special Pose, Majin Power, Rapid Growth, All Out Struggle, and Saviors. Blaze, we'll start with you again because you already started talking about it. What are some of the categories that you are looking forward to? What are some interesting team builds that you can foresee coming up with some of these categories?
I would say the most interesting one, I would probably give me a challenge, is probably again All Out Struggle and probably Exploding Rage. Those two categories are very, very limited. It's going to be also very interesting to see what type of enemies you're going to be facing, because that's also going to affect your strategy. Because, for example, Revenge category, if we have just like a bunch of Wicked Bloodline units, the AGL Bardock is going to be completely a monster. He's going to massacre everyone with his transformation turn 1. So really the ones that really kind of catch my eye also as well is going to be Inhuman Deeds, because there's no 170 lead as well. It's still a 130 lead. So I would say those three stages, Exploding Rage, Inhuman Deeds, and All Out Struggle, are probably something that might be very challenging to a lot of players, I would say.
The thing about the Inhuman Deeds stage is that not only is there no 170 leader, but Nappa and Vegeta are literally the only leader for that category. So if you don't have the summonable LR, Nappa and Vegeta, you have to go ahead and build like some kind of other wonky category team that has to have all the units on also Inhuman D. It's gonna be weird. I don't know why they released that now.
Well, you could get away with Zamasu though, because Zamasu, I think he's part of Inhuman Deeds, right? Let me actually check.
Yeah, I mean, you could I think you could do time travelers.
Yeah,
You also
you
do,
can run
do
both,
resurrected warriors too. Yeah, there's a few options you have.
But that's beside the point. The point is, why would they release a stage that doesn't have a leader?
Yeah, 100%.
Very true. Yeah.
They're very odd.
It's such a weird choice as well because we assumed going by the previous stages that were released, they were sort of going in order that the categories came out. And so because of that, there's a whole bunch that we would have assumed would be in the next set that just aren't. So it's interesting that they skipped over some of those to then do some of these other ones that don't even have proper leaders. I think Team Bardock was one that everybody expected because they always have that kind of, I don't want to say joke stage, but the like slightly lower difficulty, like Ginyu Force, Peppy Gals, that kind of thing. But yeah, it's very strange. Like Goresh was saying, the biggest thing that is confusing is why pick a category that doesn't even have a proper leader when there's these other categories that have been around for ages that have leaders.
Look me in the eye. Look me in the eye and tell me that Inhuman Deeds deserves a stage over Kamehameha.
Yeah, because I'm one of those people. So the Nappa and Vegeta is one of the only LRs that I don't have. So I can't make an Inhuman Deeds team technically. So I would have to. Obviously, they're not coming to global just yet, so I've got some time. But if I don't have them by the time they drop, or they haven't released another unit. Because this is one of those things where obviously global players should be paying attention, but there is obviously going to be a delay. And it could be like, who knows? I mean, last year, they waited until like December to release category stages. So maybe worst case scenario, we could be waiting until then. For all we know, like they could release one of the units during like the worldwide celebration or something like that is a 170 leader for Inhuman Deeds. So the team builds are going to look pretty different by the time these stages come to global. But in terms of them releasing right now on JP, definitely seems like some weird choices were made.
Minato, please tell me I'm not the only one who is most looking forward to Team Bardock. Come on.
Oh, come on, you know I am.
Team Bardock's going to be easy for sure. I think
no one talked about it.
It's just like weird that you still can't even rainbow its leader, you know? They only give us like what, 2 or 3 copies? I feel like, are they just going to drop the last? No, they're not even going to drop the last 2 because it's already in the data download. So it's like they don't even care. It's so super odd.
Dude, Team Bardock's going to be easy. You get those free skill orbs. Come on.
Yeah, it's going to be definitely very easy with the free skill orbs for sure.
Isn't the AGL Bard not even on the category?
No,
AGL was not.
No, he's not.
That's so stupid.
Perfect excuse to use the physical LR Bardock though.
Yeah.
So it's,
He's going to be pretty good.
But he's still pretty good with the LR. They link up pretty well, and he does good damage. So
One
the two
category,
LRs linked together are super good because the obviously the leader, the actual LR Team Bardock, they give actual Team Bardock units like a 60% attack and defense buff overall. So them linked up with the physical one, like he's actually gonna go off in this stage. Because obviously a lot of people, you might just be thinking like kind of like the Ginyu Force, like, oh yeah, it's just the farmable free-to-play team. But obviously remember the physical LRs on there and all the Great Ape versions of the Team Bardock units are on there as well. So like for example, Great Ape Tora is a really good support unit who lowers attack. So he potentially is more useful than one of the free-to-play ones. So there's a couple of different options. It's not as restricted as the Ginyu Force, but obviously it's still pretty restrictive in what you could use. But that is another one. It's exactly like Minato said, that strikes me as being weird that they decided to pick that for a stage, but they still haven't released all the copies of the LR, which just seems very strange.
Going back off the idea of like the weird stages that they picked, I feel like All Out Struggle is also a very odd stage for them to pick because the Goku and Vegeta LR, they've been on like 2 banners basically, on Saiyan Day, then their original banner, and they haven't really returned it at all since then. Especially like on global, it could seem a little weird trying to beat that stage. On JP, you still, like, after the 6-year anniversary, you could kind of run a Universe 7 base team with all that struggle. You could run Goku and Frieza, the Int Blue Evolution Vegeta, the free-to-play LR Roshi. There's like a semblance of a team there, but they just almost never buffed a category and never put characters on it. And the fact that the leader is super rare to get, I feel like that's going to be a very difficult stage for very many, like a lot of people in general.
And also, I actually made a small mistake. So Mosu is actually not part of Inhuman Deeds. He's part of Exploding Rage. So I got them mixed up by accident. So let's make a small correction there.
Real quick, I'm going to go through each and every one of you. Which category are you first going to tackle no item? We'll start with you, Minato. Which one?
Saviors.
Ningen?
I mean, I feel like Saviors or Revenge is probably the easiest one, but I might try doing Team Bardock first because, why not? It's my brand.
Goresh?
If I was going to pick one, I'd probably do Majin Power. I like that team a lot.
Blaze?
Damn, I was gonna say Saviors, then Margin Power, so I'm gonna go with Revenge category because of Broly, the EZA
come on.
Broly.
No one picking Human Deeds. Come on.
No one picked Special Pose? What's wrong with you guys?
Special Pose.
Special
You know what?
pose.
Actually, I think that's not going to be that difficult. Just saying.
Same.
I think Special Pose is actually pretty decent.
Yeah. I know.
Isn't Special Pose a 170% across the board leader skill too?
Yeah, I think it's, what is it? Int Gotenks is leader.
It's Key
in
plus 4 too.
Gotenks is super good for Super Battle Road. For the new ESBR category stages that we got, I used him in every single one that I could use him on because he's crazy good. So having doubles of him, and then Special Pose has like the Gotenks and Ghost who are super good for Super Battle Road. LR Man 1 and 2 giving everybody a ton of defense and key. Like, it's not going to be super difficult. It's just those ones are smaller categories, so they have less good options. But if you're somebody that can pretty much have every unit to pick from, you will be able to make some pretty solid teams for those.
I think another good option for that the Special Pose category run is the EZA Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks. The physical one, he's really good,
Yeah, I always forget about him because obviously he's not on global just yet. But yeah, he has that. Actually, he'll work super well alongside the Ink Gotenks because the physical one, once he gets his EZA, he has a chance to dodge just in his passive for the first, is it 7 or 8 turns? And obviously Super Battle Road fights don't usually go on for that long. So you can put him in slot 1. Even if he doesn't dodge, he has really solid defense. And then you have Gotenks in slot 2. Greatly raises his defense on Super and has like 70% chance to stun once you're up to the Super Saiyan form. So that rotation will actually be pretty powerful. I think it'll come down to what a lot of the no item runs come down to at the end of the day. That as long as you get lucky with not taking like 3 super attacks in slot 1, then it might not be that difficult.
How are we all feeling about the new Trunks LR, Vegeta's family category lead? He's got a pretty decent kit. What do you guys think about it?
I would
Also
say
kind of unusual that they're naming him just Trunks.
that is kind of weird. I think it's good for the unit that he's just Trunks because obviously he's going to be on more categories like Hybrid Saiyans, Time Travelers, things like that. He wouldn't be on there if Bulma was on the card. I think the card is pretty decent. I don't think it's anything outwardly like, oh my gosh, he's amazing, he's a must-have. He's just a nice free-to-play unit. The one thing I wish that they would change about units that are like him is, for example, he gets like 60% defense and gives everyone 3 key as the first attacker in the turn. The way that works is he has to actually attack before he gets the 60% defense. So any attacks that he gets before he actually attacks himself, he won't have the extra 60% defense. So it's kind of like, I don't like when the units have that right now. Not too much. Like, the key is nice, but I feel like it would be much more beneficial if he just had the extra 60% defense, before he attacked himself. But that's more so with the game mechanics than the card itself.
Yeah, but keep in mind he also has the dodge from Vegeta family on the rotation, right? So if you have a full Vegeta family team, like obviously he's meant to be ran on Vegeta family. That's just what he's meant to do. But assuming you have him on a full Vegeta family team, he has a 45% chance to dodge in slot 1. So I agree that it would be better if he got the defense just off the bat, but it's not like the end of the world because he has like almost a 50% chance to dodge.
It's only 30, isn't it? Because it's 15% per ally, but it's self-excluded.
Oh, self-excluded. Okay, yeah, so it's 30%.
So 30% is like okay, but I agree with Minato's. Like, that was my first reaction when I read it. It was like 60% defense is really nice, but it doesn't activate until he actually attacks. So looking at the things that his card does based on the 3 slots that you put him in, I think that they're kind of wonky, like, because he gives the support passive that he gives, which is the 30% to attack and defense, and then 3 key. You only get that in the 2nd slot, whereas obviously normally if you want to use a unit as a support unit, they'd be a 3rd slot floating unit rather than in the middle of the rotation. So it's the things that he does in the specific slots seem a bit odd to me, but I mean, he does seem good. I like, as exactly like Minato said, he pretty much had word for word like my first reaction to him. It's odd that they just called him Trunks, but it's absolutely like massively beneficial, because if it was Trunks and Bulma, he'd be on what, like Vegeta family and joined forces, and that's basically it. So the fact that they just called him Trunks so he can actually be used on a bunch of those other teams, and because you only need to have a couple of other Vegeta family units on the team, most of those other categories do feature a lot of decent Vegeta family units. So I think he'll be pretty good. He definitely looks better on paper. Obviously, these newer LRs that they're bringing out as the Super Battle Road rewards are a little bit better, because if we think back to like what the physical Gohan was like on the day the OG stages released, he was already not good when he first came out. So this guy definitely looks a lot more interesting.
I'm going to be pretty... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's no problem. Just really quick. I think if they wanted to make him a little better, they could have switched the... So he gets 60% attack as a 3rd attacker and then 60% defense as the 1st attacker. If they switched that, he would have been, I feel like, a little better, because you could just put him in... He'll be like more long-lasting as a floater, getting that extra defense. But that's really just a small little detail. I think he's still a fine unit otherwise.
Yeah, I was going to make that point. But actually, I mean, that was actually my only point. But actually, I'm actually going to also be very curious about his EZA, because we've seen the Super Railroad reward, LRs get an EZA, and they're all pretty good. Well, Gohan's pretty good. Goku, he's okay. It's not much of a change, but I'll be pretty curious with his EZA later on in the future.
To kind of go back to that point about him having the 1st attacker stipulation on his passive, I actually don't mind this, and I feel like if a unit has this sort of a condition on his passive, they should all have the same type of build that this guy does, where they have contingencies for the 2nd slot and the 3rd slot. I actually feel like that's a better design choice than just leaving it as an inconvenient 1st attacker restriction. Because you have that the whole element of risk reward. By putting him in the 1st slot, you gain something, but you also risk getting damage. But then if you don't want to take that risk, you have other options. So I feel like keeping this as a condition for a passive is fine, just so long as every other unit that has this type of a thing also has some sort of a contingency on the other 2 slots, or at least one other slot. I actually find that to be pretty cool.
I like the idea of it, like the blueprint, like you said. It makes sense to not just have as the 1st attacker, to have something else as well, so you can switch it up on the fly. But I just think that the specific ability they gave him as the 1st attacker, being to increase defense, I think is an odd decision. But
Yeah, I agree.
Don't forget, he also gets defense on a super attack for 1 turn. It's pretty good for an LR.
30%, it's nice.
Yeah.
Before we move on, we didn't really touch up on this, but let's also talk about the new Dokkan Fest Gohan. We talked about the Garlic Jr., and we talked about the Super Battle Roads and all that stuff, but we did not talk about the new Gohan. So I'll leave it up to you guys to just shout it out. Which one of you feels like this is the best new TUR in Dokkan? Anybody?
Nah.
So like when his details first came out, I was thinking about it a little. I feel like one of the important things to really consider when he's actually out in game, that when I'm actually going to be able to test him myself, is his active skill. Because I feel like when you get the active skill off, the 20% defense to everyone, and then he guards and recovers 30% HP, I feel like it's kind of like, it's very hard to die once you have that popped in like a Super Battle Road stage, for instance. The guaranteed stun is nice. I feel like he's missing a little bit of an oomph to him in a sense. Like, he's really good defensively and is a really good like tank unit. But if you compare him like directly to a unit like Videl, for example, where Videl just comes out with like 6 million attacks that total super effective turn 1, it's like very hard to beat something like that, I feel. So I don't really
Here's the thing with this unit, right? In 4 years from now, you're not going to be using Videl. In 4 years from now, I could see this Gohan being used.
Yep.
So I'm just saying.
that support, definitely. I feel like it'll last definitely longer than Videl. Like down in the future, like you said, with the 58% defensive support and 3k to all allies, that's really strong. But I feel like if we're talking about right now specifically, I feel like I might have Videl a little better. But I don't want to say 100% for sure until I actually get him and use him in game myself.
Yeah,
Is it too much to... Go ahead.
I was just going to say that support passive on top of everything else is just like, because I started reading through what he did when the details came out, and it's like every single line you read, it's like, okay, so he's getting better and better. And then you get to the end and it's like, and he gives all allies 3 key and 58% defense. I mean, we always say, like, with the side banner units and stuff, like, giving a 40% support buff is good, but giving 58% defense. And I think the one thing that stands out to this guy is he's very much, I don't want to say solely designed for that one thing, but he is definitely like a super battle road killer, because not only is he giving everyone a ton of defense, he has a chance to stun, but because his active skill, it only has a HP restriction and not a turn restriction. So you can kind of do the same thing you can do with things like the Spirit Bomb or Great Ape transformations and stuff like that in Super Battle Road, where if you're ending the first fight below 58% HP, you can just go into the second fight and then use his active skill straight away, and they're just not going to be able to touch you on turn 1, which is pretty insane.
Yeah, I would say his active skill is definitely one of the best ones in the game, just because of what it does. Like guard ability plus defense and healing is just, you're just basically invincible. Yep. I think the only thing I do like that he did add the category Planetary Destruction. It was just, I guess, recently added. But I wish they also put him on Exploding Rage so we can see him in Super Battle, but for some reason they decided not to put him there.
It would have been good timing considering that's a stage that they're just about to drop as well. So.
Yep.
I think we talked about Garlic Jr. earlier, pretty much being an auto-include on any villain team. I don't know if I would say this Gohan is an auto-include on every team he's on, just because his links aren't quite as good as Garlic Jr.'s for his teams, but the fact that he does give that 3 key and 50% defense, not category exclusive, by the way, just to everyone.
Yep.
Including extreme class, too.
Yeah, so super allies,
good.
Yeah, so I think, when you're looking at like the Goku family team he has all in the family, I think you just put him on his teams no matter what.
Yep.
Maybe you could just float him off anyway. Because remember, he doesn't like he's not a character that's going to come out and start doing like 10 million attack stats every turn. He's not. That's not what he's designed for. He's more utility and defensive base. So I feel like this is definitely a character you can just throw on any team and he'll be good.
Yeah, I think you could go that extra step and say that he probably is an auto-include on any team that he fits on, because even though his links aren't great, you could use him as that third slot support with the 3 key and the 58% defense. And then obviously normally the way you build your teams is the 2 units you're going to be using as the main rotation units, they're going to be primarily taking care of each other's links. And so just having him in that last spot to give the extra key. I mean, 58% defense is just so stupidly good on top of everything else that he does. I feel like you probably could argue that you could just use him on any team that he fits on now, which is
I've
pretty
seen
crazy.
The one thing I will say, just because I see like every single person I see talking about Gohan is always comparing him to Videl.
Yep.
I guess that's just what they do. So this is what I'm going to say about the comparison. Videl was released to fulfill the role of being like a one-man army unit on Peppy Gals. She was meant to be a Peppy Gals unit. That's what she's designed to do. She's meant to create that team and make that team into an actual competitive team, which it now is, I would argue, with her on it and the leadership that she brings for that team now. So she fulfills her role on that team as being just sort of like a super hard-hitting unit that's supposed to carry the team by herself. Gohan was released for, all these different teams. You have Heavenly Events, which I'm not crazy about the team, but that's sort of his main team, I guess. He's, on the Goku family team. He's on, we talked about Planetary Destruction, Bond of Master and Disciple, Hybrid Saiyans even. All of those teams, he's able to help out. I don't know if he fulfills a certain role on that team. Videl fulfills a certain role on her team. They're not really super comparable because they both fulfill different roles in their teams. Yeah.
Youth as well hasn't had many massive buffs in a while, so that's a big buff for them. It's like you said, they're complete opposite roles, because Videl, a lot of people's complaints are the limited teams that you can use her on, but on those teams, she's incredibly powerful. And then this Gohan is kind of like the opposite, where you can just pretty much slot him into a whole bunch of other teams and he'll still be really good. So obviously people always want to compare because people want to argue about which is the best unit. So obviously when the new one comes out, it's always going to be compared to the previous best unit. But yeah, like you said,
I think it's
they're very different.
I think it's so stupid to compare them. It's not even worth it.
Yeah, if we're talking about the subject of comparing them, specifically, I feel like you said, Grass, they do complete different things in a sense. You know, Gohan wants to be your slot 3 tanking, supporting type unit. Videl just kind of wants to go in and just destroy everything, basically. So I feel like comparing them is not really the best thing to do in the ends, but if it comes down to the question of trying to compare and see which one is actually better, I feel like it's something that's probably going to have to sit down and really think about, and it comes down to personal opinion, whether you prefer more so offensive units rather than defensive units.
You're literally comparing apples to oranges. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't advise comparing them because it doesn't... You're comparing two things that aren't related at all, so...
I'm sure you guys know that with any new Dokkan Fest that drops on JP, there's always the question that comes up for global players. Should you skip for this unit? So, I'm gonna ask you guys, should you skip the 6-year anniversary on global to summon for the Gohan?
Oh,
Go
no.
on. How about Garlic Jr., dude?
If he's your favorite character. But no.
No, I like you. If Chud was here, he would probably say like UI Goku is the best unit in game in Dokkan history. And I mean, UI Goku is just built different. And on top of that, they have also the revival mechanic. I'd say you definitely want to summon on the 6th year anniversary, especially with the amount of stones you're gonna have, and also the coin update. I just can't see you skip the 6th year anniversary. The units that are on the banner as well. Not even if you don't want to summon for UI Goku, but you have also Goku and Vegeta for the worldwide celebration, and then you also have your Boo tanks, right, who are also very good units as well. So,
And that's the first time they
I would
return.
not.
So there you go.
You guys understand
Yeah.
how ridiculous the 6-year banners are going to be on global? It's coin
Gonna be
update,
insane.
tickets, and 3 plus 1.
Oh, we're
And
gonna be
probably
rolling
discounts.
in it. It's gonna be so good.
As a JP
I just
player,
wish
I'm
that there
jealous.
could be like one Dokkan Fest where global players are just, they don't say that. Like, okay, I'm skipping for this one.
That will never happen. I feel like that is literally just a meme at this point. Like people will
so
say to skip everything always. For
might as
whatever
well
the
just
new
get
thing
ahead
that
of it,
just
right?
came
So
out
there you go.
is,
For those of you who want to ask that stupid question, there's your answer from the experts. Don't do that.
I mean, the thing is as well, like by the time it comes out, because we're gonna have the brief stuff that we've got coming up, then we're gonna have the anniversary, then they're probably gonna slot in Videl, then it's gonna be the worldwide celebration, and then after that would be the earliest that we could see Gohan. So there's going to be so much stuff in between. Even if for some reason you decide you're going to skip the 6-year anniversary, you've got all that other stuff coming up, including the worldwide celebration, which if you think about how ridiculous the units were from last year, I mean, if we just used last year's one as a blueprint, is anyone going to be skipping like STR Vegito and Physical Boo for this Gohan? Probably not. So if the
hope
worldwide
not.
celebration units are that good again, like no one's going to be saving for this Gohan as good as he is. So
Another thing about the 6th anniversary banners is I feel like, isn't this the first time Goku and Vegeta and then Boo tanks? Isn't this the first time they're
Yup.
returning on global, which is like 11 months or something?
That's typical. That happens every time for the worldwide
So
celebration.
annoying.
I think it's really dumb that they do that, but
yeah, that's why the coin update is such a massive W, because it means once you're done with your summons, because obviously, you know, most people would probably take this for granted, but just in case you don't have forgotten for some reason, don't buy anything with your red coins until you're finished summoning. But yeah, once you're done with your summoning on the 6-year banners, you're going to be able to get all those extra red coins because of the coin exchange update. And then yeah, there you go. You've got Goku, Vegeta, Boo tanks, Gohan and Cell. Is it the Super Saiyan 4s? There's 2 other Dokkan Fest LRs that return on those banners. It might be them. But there's like 3 Dokkan Fest LRs that you can buy with red coins from both banners, as well as the other like red coin units as well. So we're going to get so many extra coins during this anniversary. It's going to be fantastic.
remember
in
about
mind
the
that,
coins?
I was going to say, keep in mind that JP did not have the coin update for the anniversary. So
Exactly.
One thing to keep in mind about the coin update as well is on Global, you're going to have those tickets, and along with the free multis, anything gotten outside of stone multis, you will not be able to exchange for coins. So any SSR you get on the tickets or any SSR you get on the free fourth multi, you cannot exchange those units.
All right, before we move on, I also want to point out, a couple of people have been asking this. For those of you wondering what extreme teams you could run the Gohan on to use that passive, he is in the Planetary Destruction and Heavenly Events category, so you do have some options with extreme team buildings.
Yeah, the
Buildings?
Extreme Goku
Builds.
family team too, right?
Yeah.
Could you actually?
Mass Saiyan and Raditz.
No.
Raditz Ape, and
Yeah.
Raditz,
That's about
Mass
it.
Saiyan.
that's about it.
Goten Black.
See, the
Goten.
thing is,
Black.
that is actually a good point, because Planetary Destruction definitely, it has some good options, but having another really solid support unit would actually be very good
Yep.
for that category. So
Are Bojack and Turles units on that team? I forget.
Planetary Destruction?
Planetary Destruction.
Yeah.
I think
Let me
Bojack
check
is.
here.
I know Frieza is.
Bojack? I don't. Frieza is, but Bojack, no, he's
Bojack is not. No, Turles
He's
is.
not.
The one good thing about having that high of a defensive support is that it works so well with big bad bosses. Now, unfortunately, Broly units
God,
don't
yeah.
have that.
I know.
But if you once we get like a ridiculously OP Frieza, and you could have him alongside like the Pod Frieza, the Prime Battle one, and then you have this Gohan floating around, they're gonna have
my
like 300k
God.
defense.
I mean, one thing you could do is, since Broly is a Planetary Destruction and movie bosses, you could just throw Gohan on the movie bosses team technically.
yeah,
yeah, that team, that Broly led team, I really love that build. So yeah, having that Gohan as like a third slot float, because obviously one of the rotations you can run on that team is the LR Turles and AGL Turles, which obviously, if you're not a whale, you can't run the TUR of the LR, so you have to run the AGL one. And his major weakness until he gets an EZA is the fact that his defense doesn't really hold up in the more difficult events. So having Gohan in slot 3 to give him an extra 58% defense is going to be pretty nice.
No item, more like no Gohan. That's like the new channel.
No Gohan, right?
All right, let's move on to the next topic. Global. Global still exists, people. On Global, Goten and Trunks are the next Dokkan Fest coming up. So let's talk about it. We got a new category. We got a new unit. Global players, are you hyped over this new Gifted Warriors lead, or is this a skip?
Well, we kind of know what the banner looks like. So
Oh yes.
Oh, do we
It's
now?
very interesting. Very interesting.
However did that
Yeah.
happen?
Something's happening.
Hydros.
we have a resident tech person here. You want to explain?
Thank you, Hydros.
So Global has always kind of had this, it's not a problem, but they've always had hidden tables in their database in the game that they've always had in there. But what they did is this past update, they already have fixed it by this point. They've already done a database update. But what they did is they pushed data in the database that was not actually supposed to be seen, like different to like even more tables that weren't seen, like the gotcha rates, the banner rates and all that kind of stuff. And they did have there what the featured units were going to be on the Goten and Trunks banner. Now they could change it between now and the banner release. They could just be like, oh, my bad, they could change it, but I kind of doubt it. Because they pushed data that was not supposed to be seen. It's actually pretty funny. Someone is either getting fired or I don't know.
Well, you know
One
what?
thing I
let's-
will say,
Yeah.
just slightly off the topic of the banner itself, one thing I will say, because I can't remember who tweeted it out. It wasn't Hydros, it was somebody else that was posting all that info stuff. But I haven't seen that meme mentioned for a while, but I do remember arguing about people with it in the past. They showed the rates, so yeah, anyone complaining that like it has rigged rates for specific units and stuff like that, we now know for a fact that that is not true. So
No, it's rigged per account.
Yeah.
yeah, if your username is truth, it takes you 10,000 stones to get a copy of the unit.
Yeah, we went and calculated it because they don't have it like, it's not like a rate, but they have it something called like a weight system that each unit is, and the like featured units have a different weight than non-featured and all that kind of stuff, right? So we did calculate like on the Gotenks banner and all that kind of stuff. The weight, the rates do add up to what the weights actually are saying. So yeah, they're not tricking you. They're not doing any of that. obviously they didn't want us to see this data, so if they wanted to trick us, we probably would have seen it already. But either way, the data adds up is basically it.
While we're on the subject, let's talk about these. So some of the other things that were revealed were, like you said, the link level probabilities, the gacha rates, and I believe some data for chain battle was also exposed, right?
We know for chain battle specifically, there's the coefficients that go into calculating like damages, like for categories, enemies, and all that kind of stuff. That it's not everything. We still don't know everything because there's still stuff that's, I think, kind of hidden. But we have a better idea, at least based on these coefficients. Like I'm sure that the calculation, nuts out there probably, trying to figure it out as we speak still. But yeah, we do have a better idea for chain battle. The link probabilities, we somewhat have a better idea. It's still kind of weird to kind of calculate it because whether stamina plays into it, it's kind of iffy. There's a probability rate in the actual events themselves that determine link levels. There's specific probabilities per link level, and it does go down. Like from level 9 to 10 specifically is a probability of 3, which usually is going to be 3%. So also you got to factor in like all the characters on your team, all the links per character, then the amount of rolls per enemy that it's going to be spawning on the event and stuff like that. So there's a lot of different things that calculate whether or not you're going to get a link level or not.
Oh, yes.
So at the moment, for all the people who are thinking that the 3% chance of a level 9 turning into a level 10, it's not quite clear cut yet, right?
Well, I mean, one of the calculations that I was going off of is I take the percentage and then I divide it amongst all 6 of the links. And then I tweeted this out as well. I can't remember exactly what I did now. But it was to where I calculated amongst all 6 links have the probability of spawning at least on one of the enemies. It would be like, it's like less than 1% for a link from 9 to 10.
Right.
Isn't the way the links work is it spawn like either the enemy, like when you enter the map, enemies have a chance to either give you a link level or not, and that's like how the probability works. So is it a 3% chance for each enemy to give you a link level up for the specific link, or how does that work?
It's still up again. It's still up in there. We don't have every single bit of data because the way I imagine is that this percentage isn't percentage just for the link level. It's the percentage chance that link has to roll on each enemy that spawns. So it goes through each enemy, has that chance to roll until it finally gets to that point, right? Then it stops.
Yeah. So basically what happens is it's a 3% chance for it to roll on each enemy, and then you have to end up landing on the specific one that rolled it, is what you're saying.
Yep.
Yeah, because the probability rate for 23.8 is like, it's just a little bit higher than 1. So it's like a 1.0375 probability rate. That's not a percentage. That's like like 2 times, 1 times, all that kind of stuff. The way I did a quick calculation from level 1 to 2, it's an 80% probability. And so dividing that amongst all 6 links and stuff like that, you would get roughly about a 13% chance. And then you would multiply that by the rate up. So it'd have about from link level 1 to 2, I believe is what I'm doing. Yeah, 1 to 2. And then for each one of the links, it has like a roughly 13% chance of one of those links going up from level 1 to 2 or something like that. It's still weird. It's still very early. So I did that like in a matter of 5 minutes, just looking at all the tables. But yeah, link levels is something that still up in the air. We do have a somewhat better picture though.
Yeah. Once we understand more about what's going on, we will bring that information to you on a future podcast episode. But let's go back, shift focus back to the new Dokkan Fest, the new category. So let's take a look at the Trunks and the Goten. What are you guys thinking about this unit as far as a build, as far as the active skill? Pretty unique, pretty cool way to approach a unit. But overall, given what's coming up, given what's on the featured banner and the step-ups that we're getting, overall, are you guys getting good vibes from this unit / banner or bad vibes? What's your take?
Really good. Because we know that Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta is going to be on here. So,
I would literally go as far, unless you're, I mean, maybe even free to play. I guess it depends how long you've been saving, but unless you're free to play and you only have very few stones at the moment, so you really do need to save them all for the anniversary, I would proudly come forward and say that, at least even if we're just talking about the discounted steps, because the third one's going to be guaranteed featured, it's a must summon for everybody. Because Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta is ridiculously good. Goten and Trunks are ridiculously good as well. And they were that typical bait banner where it's like they're really, really good, but do you want to risk summoning for them right before the anniversary? But yeah, with discounted multis, with guaranteed featured, and Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta returning, who, if I'm correct, hasn't returned on JP yet since he came out. That's like a massive W. So like if you do the discount, you might get Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta as your guaranteed featured. You might not actually get Goten and Trunks, but I would still say that you would be coming away with a win if that's what you managed to get. So I absolutely would say it's a must summon for me.
Yeah, I think it's a must summon, but only for the discounts.
Yes.
The banner is still 8 featured units, which is pretty bad. There's LR, Gohan, and Goten on here who've been on like 700 trillion, zillion, bajillion banners. The feature unit list is not spectacular overall. I mean, yeah, you have Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, you have the new unit on there, you have the Tech Krillin, who's crazy good. So a lot of them are good, but a lot of them also suck. Like the second half of the banner is pretty bad. But yeah, I would say the discounts are definitely worth doing. If there's a Pilaf Strove pack, if you're somebody who spends money in the game, I would definitely pick that up as well. But other than that, that's it.
And that's another thing, like we're saying about the anniversary for Global, the fact that we have the coin update in the game. This is technically the first banner where that is going to be active. So some of the units, actually, even though the banner's not necessarily great overall, a lot of the units on there, like the secondary units, I guess you would say, there's ones like the Tech Exchange Boo and the Gotenks. Like they haven't been back a ton of times, so even if you have them, chances are you don't necessarily have them rainbowed. But then obviously there's the two that stand out, because I'm not looking at the banner right now, is the Tech Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks and STR Super Boo are on there. And those are 2 units that would put me off summoning because I have them both rainbowed and have for a very long time. But obviously now we have that update in the game. So maybe you'll get lucky and pull a really nice unit as your guaranteed featured, and you might pull a Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks or an STR Super Boo along the way, and you'll be able to trade them in for the red coins. So pretty good overall.
Minato, what do you think about the Gifted Warriors category overall?
I think the Gifted Warriors category is a pretty nice category. You know, it has things like Frieza, all the Goten and Trunks, of course, Blue Evolution, Vegeta. I feel like over time, you know, we're always going to get like Vegeta units coming up, Frieza units, so we're going to get more of those. So I feel like the category has a good basis and will build up after. I think it's only really spectacular, though, when you pair it with Kamehameha.
Agreed, yeah. Sorry.
I was just going to say real quick, the best variant of like this team, especially with the Gohan and Goten as a leader, not the Gohan and Goten, the Goten Trunks as the leader, is the fact that, you know, the full Gohan and Goten, or I keep saying Gohan and Goten, the full Goten and Trunks setup for the team is like the best way you can really build it for them as the leader. Only problem with that on Global is we don't have the same name update yet.
Yeah, I was about to
Whereas
say,
on JP, they had that with this unit coming out. So it's going to be difficult to really have them in their optimal setup, I think, this Goten and Trunks. But they're still going to look pretty good, right?
Oh, for sure. Especially with that active skill. Pretty good, I will say. I'm not sure if this really does impact the category, but we also got the EZA for Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, who is really good. And we also have here the Dokkan Fest GT Vegeta as well. So it could be probably interesting for a team build, because when they came out, JP didn't have those units. So, I mean, it'll be pretty interesting to see how well. But I do like their active skill when they have a 100% chance to dodge. That's just really, really good. Very powerful.
Yeah, and it's
This
turn
unit-
3, so you'll see it in like every mode, basically.
I still stand by the fact that I think people underrate this unit a lot. They're
I
ridiculously
agree.
good.
I agree. I've
Underrated.
used them.
I haven't seen
Especially on the
Interesting.
Goten and Trunks team. It's insane. Like, it's absolutely insane. This unit can get like 8 million attack stats with around 200 plus K defense, you know, in the good situations. Their
200.
leader
I'm talking
skill,
about like 300.
probably
plus.
300K, yeah. It depends on the procs you get in their passive, which would be like the only real thing. It can be wishy-washy on their stats. But I especially like their leader skill is Would you argue? I feel like it might be even just the best team in the game. Honestly, the only bad thing would be the 130% defense. Depending on if you prefer HP or defense, of course. But there's just so many options that you can run on their team. It just makes them a very valuable unit overall.
Yeah, I think the split of their leader skill is the better of the various combos they do of the 170 and 130 split. Because I'm sure it was Truth said it on a previous podcast ages ago, but when people ran the numbers, when it comes to surviving super attacks in the more difficult content, it is better to have more HP than to have more defense. So I think that split is good. And then I would agree, like, say what you will about Gifted Warriors on its own, it's pretty good. It does have some good units in it, but the fact that it's combined with Kamehameha, I think, is a massive strength, because there's a lot of combos you can run. Like the fact that a lot of Vegetas, well, actually, I think almost every Vegeta in the game, possibly actually every Vegeta in the game is on it.
Yep.
And then Kamehameha will have most of the Goku counterparts to those units. So like the Super Saiyan 4s, the GT Super Saiyans, and obviously we all know like those units work really well when you run them together. And so because of the split of the leader skill, you can run like all of those units together. So Kamehameha is a ridiculously good category anyway. So combining it with Gifted Warriors, I think the team you can potentially run with them is pretty ridiculous. So.
Another thing to note, as I believe you could run every single Dokkan Fest LR under their leader skill as well, which is, a nice plus.
Blaze. You cannot spell EZA without Blaze. Did you know that? So as the expert on EZAs...
Isn't it the other way around?
Wait, no, you can't spell... Yeah, whatever. I'm
I got you too.
I'm rusty. Leave me alone. So, Blaze, I'm going to go to you for this one. Out of the three new EZAs coming up, which one is the best? We've got Goten, we've got Trunks, and we've got 18. Which one is the best EZA?
The best EZA? I think Trunks hits the hardest, but I honestly love all three. I think Goten and Trunks, I have them both equal, but if I had to choose one, I'll probably choose Trunks just because he hits a bit harder, but they're all really fantastic. I'm actually more excited about the EZAs than the Dokkan Fest, if I'm being honest, just because these two, like a lot of people are going to have this character because they've been out for quite a while, and them having this huge buff, like shooting like 5-minute attack stat with over 200k defense, really is just a huge game changer, I want to say, especially for free-to-play players.
They literally just gave them out for free too. So
yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, true. With the with the scroll for
the Book of War or whatever it's called.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go. I mean, it's just free real estate, as they say, right? So
yeah, they literally are giving you like a one of the best characters in the game for free.
Mm-hmm.
And lastly, before we move on, Ningen brought this up yesterday when we were just chatting away. The physical Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks EZA is not in the plans apparently for this campaign, but this is something that JP had when the Goten and Trunks came out, right? So, what are your guys' thoughts on that whole thing? And do you still think we're going to be getting that Gotenks EZA coming up?
Yeah, it's going to be in part of the second half, right?
Yeah, it's the thing. That's the thing I was saying when we were talking about it, is the fact that it wasn't included with all the stuff that was in the data, because obviously we have the specific date for the release of the banner, we have the specific date for the release of the 3-unit EZA, but the Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks information wasn't in there. But the reason I brought it up to be a topic on here is just in case, like, we saw that exact thing happen with, like, the Super Saiyan 4 EZAs and stuff, where if it doesn't get announced in the news straight away, people start panicking that we're not going to get it. But yeah, I think it is, like Goresh said, it's going to be like one of those typical events where the night before it comes out, the news is going to give us that breakdown of the full celebration and the dates where everything comes out. And I think comparing it to JP, I think it was like 6 days or something after all the stuff came out that then the Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks EZA came out. So it's probably going to be the same thing. But it was just interesting that that wasn't included in the data, but it'll probably be announced in the in-game news once we get all of the celebration info.
Yeah, keep in mind it's going to be. You got a little bit of time before the anniversary. You got about a little bit over a month until the anniversary comes out. So we got some time to kill. So I wouldn't be so hasty on rushing things to come out now. We're going to be waiting for a little bit.
I believe on like the JP version, when the first stage download hit, we didn't get actually any information on Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks until about a few days later, when his EZA was scheduled to come out. So I'm pretty sure his EZA is still going to come out on Global as well. I would be actually pretty shocked if he didn't come out. So you should be able to see him soon whenever the news hits in the game.
Yeah, so pretty much what we're looking at is Goten and Trunks are going to be released on the 1st of June, which is in like 2 days or 3 days or whatever. And then we're going to get the Gotenks EZA, a little bit later. And then I would say maybe in like 2 weeks or so from now, we'll probably get the LR Tapion. And then that will be the last thing we get before the anniversary. So that's sort of the timeline for Global.
Well, before we head to break, we do need to touch on one more subject. So let's talk about it. Petaton Battle. Global has finally received the first slew of Petaton Battle stickers. The new event is out. People have been playing it. What are your guys' thoughts on the event? Obviously, we saw this on JP first, but overall, what are your impressions from this first run of Petaton Battle?
I like Petaton a lot. I have fun with it. It's a nice thing to do on the side. It's fun collecting the cards. Nothing really too serious like it was intended. Obviously, it was not intended to be anything really serious. Just a nice little fun mode. It's nice to see like the little card arts and, getting orbs or any whatever you choose, which I would say pick the orbs. But, getting those nice rewards on the side is cool too. It's just a fun mode overall. Nothing really bad about it.
Yeah, I would say it's very refreshing because when you're playing the game Dokkan for 6 years, running on 6 years here, having this new mode is kind of refreshing. And again, getting those free orbs. Orbs are very crucial, as you guys know by now, because of the coin update. So orbs are very hard to grind. It's not something you can do like for 2 hours straight. But now with Petaton Battle you can, but the rewards are a bit low for my liking. But again, it's free orbs, so can't really complain. I just like that it's kind of refreshing. Collecting the cards and seeing the animations and all that.
Yeah, orbs are the only thing in the game out of the 4 things that you can choose to get as the rewards that you can't just farm over and over again from other stages. So definitely orbs is the way to go. I think it's like a cool little thing that they added, but obviously we talked about it when it came out on JP. Like some people were saying that they're disappointed, but like it was never meant to be a new full-on game mode. It's not a thing like, the new GT Legendary Goku event where if you find yourself with like an hour to kill and you want to play some Dokkan, you're not loading it up to play Petaton Battle. It's just like a nice, cool little thing that you can do on the side. I found it pretty fun. I did get stuck in an awkward thing. I think it was on like the second day, where all of the drops I got from my completed fights were all really bad, low rarity cards. So then I was stuck in a situation where I couldn't really beat the harder fights unless I wanted to dump a ton of the stickers into that one fight. But once I got a couple of decent ones back, then obviously it was okay. It took me ages to get one of the 2 LR cards. I got the Freezer one first. And then I think after that, the Freezer must have dropped like 4 or 5 times before I finally got the Goku. But
the exact opposite happened to me.
I finished the collection. I think I finished it. It was either yesterday morning or the day before. So now I'm just kind of casually going back into it and dropping some of the last stickers just to get some more orbs. Because like I said, I've been doing the orb thing the whole time, obviously. So.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I've been refreshing it pretty much every hour, and I'm still missing 3. Of the stickers. I beyond shafted. Like, this is ridiculous amount of shaft that I'm getting. I'm literally playing it every single time it refreshes. I'm missing 3.
I'm missing
absolutely 4. Love this event. I love everything about it. I love the aesthetic. I love the premise. I love the mechanics. I think it's a really, really clever addition to the game without really going above and beyond and making it a brand new like game changer event. It's something that if you want a little bit more Dokkaning in your day, you can. But if you don't, you're not missing out on a whole lot, but there's still enough there to make it a satisfying, substantial experience. And I think the one complaint, if I had to have anything, is the fact that I wish that there was a way to have it notify you when your phone is off or something that the Petaton like fights are done and you can go back in. Because I keep forgetting when I set my hour-long fights and then I don't go back in for like 5 hours. And then I have to wait for a cooldown, and like all of those things could have been avoided if I just got notified. So that might be my only complaint, but everything else, I love the event. It's exactly what it's advertised.
It's literally just adventures from Legends. That's what it is.
So, all right. With that said, we're gonna go ahead and take a quick break. But don't go anywhere because we will be right back answering your questions right after this. BRB.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the second half of the podcast. Well, it's really the last quarter because we're almost done. But I just wanted to announce quickly the results of this poll that we have on Twitter. The question was, are you going to summon on the Goten and Trunks banner? Tell us. So the results are as follows. We have 4 options. The option number 1 was just the discounts, which received 42.7% of the responses. We have choice number 2, which is Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta Fire Emoji, which received 26.3% of the responses. We have Whale Emoji as the third response, which got 4.2% of the responses. And then we got Skip exclamation point, which was at 26.8%. So there you go. Those are the results.
And also, shout out to Mass Ningen for the resub.
Yeah, let's go. Come Twitch Prime is not a crime, baby.
Folks, a couple of days before the podcast, we like to throw out a tweet or two just to let you guys know that we have the show coming up so you guys can post your questions. And every week, we like to look through your questions and select some of the best ones for us to answer on air. So we're going to do that right now. Starting with Mono Sperano, who asks, how much do you think the amount, quality of categories matters to a quality of a unit? I feel some units like Videl are held back by a lot of categories. She's only on 4 categories, 2 being her own team, Earthlings being mid, and Boo Saga being uber competitive.
Damn, Earthlings being mid. That's... Oof. I mean, it's kind of true, but in fact, that is one of the new Super Battle Road stages. So Videl, if you have her, will be super, super good on that team. In fact, you can run a build using her, using a whole bunch of the Earthling Peppy gals. But to answer the question specifically, it definitely plays a role because obviously we see people in the discourse of arguing about whether Videl is the best unit in the game, well, the best TUR, sorry, bringing up the fact that categories are important because, like you say, she's not on many. One of them is like Marja Busaga is super competitive because it has a lot of top tier units. But like for me personally, I usually rate units on their using them in their best case scenario, and then I do kind of try and look at them in their worst case scenario to get a bit of an equal balance. So I mean, as long as they fit on a team really well, then obviously you can make them be really good. It is, I guess, annoying when a unit can only be used on a couple of teams, but I guess it just depends on the overall power level. Because when a unit like Videl is as powerful as she is, I don't think it's a huge issue that she's not on every single team in the game, because then you just run her on every single team. So it takes away a little bit of the variety, I guess.
I think the way to answer this question, are the amount of categories like important to the quality of a unit, is you just think of the most extreme scenario. If a unit had 0 categories, would they be good? The answer is no. So my answer is yes, that's important.
Very true. Broly, Chila, and Lemo, they're only on 2 categories and they're in LR.
Yeah, they're such a fun unit, but you just don't really ever use them because they're on so few teams. So that is very true.
I agree, because there's things such as, like, for example, Super Battle Road, where the more stages of Super Battle Road a good unit could be used in, that just makes them to be better and more, you know, be able to be used across all the game. There's the GT LGE missions. There's, I guess, technically the Infinite Dragon Ball History missions, which aren't really as important as the other 2, I feel like. But being on more teams allows more units to be used in those situations like that, where they want you to use multiple different teams in multiple different scenarios. So I do agree that if a unit is like on 2-3 categories, that definitely does hold them back.
All right, let's move on to the next question brought to us by Kenneth Smith. There's no way I can mispronounce that one. Kenneth asks, do you think damage is overrated in the current meta? Units like the new Gohan and Tech Gohan seem more valuable across the game, with just okay damage but godly defense. Look at the new GT units. Vegeta was considered better. Int Hercule is still runnable. Glass cannons are not.
That's very interesting. I would say depends the gameplay you're doing. Like, for example, let's say the legendary GT Goku event, right? Where it's a mixture of course, a long event and Super Battle Road. Damage is gonna be very important because depending on the mission that you're doing, you don't want to stay too long in the fight, especially against the Tech Super Saiyan 4 Goku, just because, you know, you're gonna he's probably gonna outlast you. So damage is still very important, but I would say defense in today's meta is still very important. But I wouldn't throw out damage as being overhyped. I'd still say it's still very crucial, especially for super battled as well, because as you guys know, you don't want to stay too long in those type of events. I would say defense is better, but definitely don't count out damage. Like you still need to consider damage as an important factor, depending on the defense that you're doing.
I think. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think, like he was saying, it's very event specific because, especially when it comes to the GT Legendary Goku event, you think of units like Tech LR Broly, who even without dupes is hitting ridiculous attack stats. If you bring him into that event, he will get you killed 100%. So, big damage units are obviously good in certain situations, but in the current meta, I think it's because of the way the question is worded. I don't know if I would say that damage is overrated, but I think in the current meta with the end game events, defense is definitely more important. But
so theoretically speaking, defense is something that you can cap off on, right? You can reach a level of defense to where you're actually not able to be damaged, and then any defense on top of that is useless because you're already taking no damage. On the opposite side of that, damage is something that really never has a cap to it, unless you're literally one-shotting every single stage of every single event in the game, right? So I think defense is something that has a much lower ceiling than damage does. So damage is going to be able to scale a lot better than defense is, theoretically speaking. But I do agree with what you said, with defense being a lot more situational depending on what event you're taking on. But in a lot of cases, damage can substitute for defense, because if you kill the enemy, they can't damage you, right?
Yeah, somebody did say in the chat the best defense is a good offense, because I mean, in Super Battle Road, you just take the STR LR Broly in there, and maybe he's not the best example because his defense is actually pretty solid, but yeah, he'll just like double AoE super and kill everybody, and then you don't need to worry about getting hit back. So that is also true.
Exactly what I was gonna say.
All right, let's move on to the next question, brought to us by free-to-play Dokkan, who asks, a lot of issues that Global has, especially with social media scandals, is due to no communication with the community. Do you think Dokkan should be more active with their community, inviting content creators to share their opinions, and just generally engage with the community more?
Yes.
All right, next question.
Yeah, I think it is a very straightforward yes, because I mean, you see, I think the problem might be the fact that because Dokkan has been going for so long now, and whilst we are seeing some interesting changes when it comes to things like the social media side, you could probably argue that they're pretty set in their ways at this point. And the reason I thought this was like an interesting question to include is because we've seen with the release of some newer games recently, a lot of them have come out of the gate being very interactive with like content creators and the community and things like that. And I definitely think if they did actually do some stuff like that, it would only be beneficial for the game overall. But I think the problem is, at this point, are they going to change the ways that they seem to be set in? And I think, unfortunately, the answer is probably not. Like, we get those surveys every now and then, and we've definitely had more. We've had them more recently over the last couple of years than we did previously, but that's kind of the only direct interaction that we seem to have. So
something you guys have to understand with direct communication with, like, either if it's just general social media or even specific people, is literally everything has to be approved. So if you're talking about a scenario where they're literally communicating directly with specific people, like content creators and stuff like that, they have to go to whatever rights holders or higher ups just in whatever department they're in, and they have to actually get direct approval for every single thing that happens. So there's a lot that goes into it. It's not just like, oh, they can just reach out and talk to us. It's not that easy.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the next question, brought to us by the Tugga Saiyan. I want to make sure I say that right. Do you guys have any kind of unicorn unit? Basically a unit that exists in a game for a long time, but you still don't have it. Or have it rainbow in the case of you whales. For example, I still don't have the Int Janemba rainbow, and I'm less than 20 days from 2,000 days. Wow.
Damn.
I would say For me, the first unit that comes to mind would actually be Tech Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks. I think I'm still like 2 copies away from having them actually rainbowed, which is crazy because, you know, I joined around the time he came out. That's when I started playing the game, and I just haven't pulled enough copies to rainbow him at this point, which is pretty insane to me. He's like never featured though. Other than that, I feel like I went like 2 years without pulling Goku Black until the Janemba banner, the Tech Janemba banner. So I was kind of pretty surprised at that too.
Damn.
Nice. For me, it would be
early on.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, early on, I think Physical Omega Shenron was my unicorn. I couldn't get him for like the first year and a half. But I think more recently, ever since I've become a whale, the actual unit that I have never been able to pull was the LR GT Trio. And that ended very quickly when I realized just how much trouble I was in on the chain battle. So I no longer have a unicorn problem.
Yeah, mine. Go on.
No, I was gonna say I was really hoping he was gonna pull them from the.
I know. I bought the unit in the shop as soon as the banner dropped, and then I said I was gonna pull that stupid GT Trio in my summons, but I didn't.
I was, dude. In our collab, I was really hoping you were gonna pull them.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, Goresh, do you actually have one that you haven't got rainbowed yet?
Of course
or?
not.
Well, I had a few throughout my journey playing this game. The first one was Int LR Gohan. The infamous, I don't even remember, it was like 15,000 stones. I didn't pull a single one. And then I honestly haven't really talked about this one that much, but the Tech Goku and Frieza, they came out, I think I pulled 3 copies in their first banner. And then I didn't pull another one until like a year later, which is ridiculous. If you think about how much I summoned in this game, I just never pulled the 4th copy for like a year later.
Damn.
Really?
The one that stands out to me, because I think I mentioned it fairly recently, in fact, but despite, I mean, I'm not as big of a whale as some people, but obviously I do summon on every banner. The last few LR banners, I've gone pretty much at least 1,000 stones on every single one. I've still never pulled a single copy of the physical TN that came out during the worldwide celebration.
Oh my, you don't have him?
Really?
What?
What?
No way.
Nope. I have
That
the
one
Blue
I'm so
Piccolo
happy about.
at like 90%, but I don't have a single copy of the physical TN. I think I even did the 3 30 stone discount multis on one of the recent category support banners because he was featured on that banner and still didn't pull him. So
Pull him, man.
he did good.
I mean, if you keep summoning, you'll get him, so just keep summoning.
True.
But that's the one thing that comes to mind all the time when people say about when the side banner units come out, because it happened on the Saiyan Day banner. I pulled the copies of Broly that I got super early on, and I did quite a few more summons on the banner because I really wanted a copy of the STR Trunks. And people were saying like, oh, he goes into the general pool, you'll get him soon enough afterwards. It's like, well, yeah, still don't have physical TN, so
Oh boy.
For
I don't
me, it
have
would
Tech
be.
Krillin.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. Oh, I was gonna say I don't actually have Tech Krillin, and I kind of regret not going a little deeper in the Goten and Trunks banner for him because of how good he is. I have not pulled him since they came out.
For me,
Wait,
it's gonna
go
be
ahead.
actually the LR STR Beerus. I still don't have a copy to this
wow.
day. But the one thing I probably want more than anything, maybe it's a bit off topic, but I'm missing 3 units from the 50% support units. I want those units to come back because I'm missing I'm missing AGL. No, I'm missing Int and I'm missing Rildo from the AGL. Those I would love for them to come back.
I'm literally missing every single support except for TN, which I have 1 copy of.
The biggest
nice.
relief for me is making the decision to actually rainbow all those guys, because I was actually considering just like getting a few and then just dipping off those banners. But I'm so happy I just rainbowed them all because like they haven't come back in like what, a year plus.
Dude, I've got over
Yeah,
1,000
2
blue
years.
coins.
yep. Yeah, I'm
I
missing.
only have Super Brew.
I'm missing Hit and TN.
TN.
And then the other ones I only have 1 copy of. So it would be very nice for them to come back at some point. I've got a bunch of blue coins saved up, obviously from all the like Heroes banner summons and stuff. So I will just be able to buy a copy of Hit and TN when the banners come back. The problem is, like, if they do ever decide to bring them back, not only has it been so long since they were around the last time, but they were around at a really bad time as well, where it was just like a really bad idea to summon on those banners. So it would be very nice if they maybe put them into some more banners, even if they didn't put them in the general pool. Just like chucking them into like the featured slot on some banners would be pretty nice, because I think we're way past the point in the game in terms of like power level where it would be too broken to have them on more banners. Because I know when they first started getting their awakenings, they were pretty insane, but I think we definitely need to start seeing them on some more banners now.
Nowadays, they should probably consider adding them to the general pool sooner, because eventually, I'm not saying it's going to happen anytime soon, but eventually they're going to become outdated, because now we have all these supports that can give attack and defense plus 40% for all categories, for all supers, all extremes. So the support game is bumping up. So these 50% supports are becoming less and less in demand, because we have other units that can basically take up that spot.
Like Garlic.
Plus as well, you got to think that like obviously 50% is better than 40%, but all of these new supports that are coming out that are giving 40% to the teams that you want to run them on, they are in the general pool. And the big thing I've noticed with a lot of those 50% support units is just having them at 55%. They don't stand up in some of the harder content, whereas some of these new supports that are coming out, not only are they giving the 40% buff, which is still pretty good, they can hold their own in harder events, and it's easier to get dupes for them. So they're definitely, they're probably already entering the stage where they're starting to become a little bit outclassed, because obviously their main role was kind of on the mono teams, because whilst you can use them on category teams, they're obviously only supporting that one specific type. But the one that springs to mind is like, because everybody talks about it all the time as being the hardest Super Battle Road stage, you take the tech second form Cell into extreme tech at 55%, and he just gets crushed. Like even the enemy, he lowers attack on super attack, but if you don't have an item active, even the enemy that he supers and lowers their attack hits him for like 80k at 55%. So yeah, they're already starting to be a little bit outdated. So I definitely think we should start seeing them come back a little bit more often. But
do you think the world is ready for 55% supports, maybe from those EZAs that they could get, maybe?
I mean, technically Krillin, for the right units, Krillin gives 60%. So, I mean, the one from Goten and Trunks' banner, because he gives 30% and then 30% again if Goten or Trunks are on the rotation. So we've already got a 60% support unit in the game.
We also have Gohan as well with 58%.
Doesn't Intella give like 80% with her full passive or something?
Dude, Vados gives like 80 or 90 or something.
Oh,
crazy,
yeah,
right?
true. But that's only to Beerus, though.
I think Champa is the only unit in the game that gains the full benefit.
Wrong card instruction. Champa,
yeah, just make the EZAs for the 50% supports 100% and we're good.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on to the last question in the batch, brought to us by Maverick, who asks, what are your thoughts on Dokkan deciding to drop Gohan's banner on the same day as Legends? I honestly feel that since they knew that during this time period they won't get top grossing, they decided to slide in a not so hype character.
It's actually one day later, because Legends is dropping tonight and the Gohan's dropping tomorrow night, right? That's what's happening?
Yeah, Legends.
I thought it was
what time is Legends?
Okay. Legends is tonight. It's happening in like 7-8 hours from now.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like 4 a.m.
All right,
well, I mean, I guess it's not the exact same time, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like, I mean, we've talked about in the past that they sometimes seem like they make moves based on what the other game does, but I don't know I don't know how much of that factors in to this decision, but
I mean,
I don't know a huge amount about Legends, but
I think for content creators it's pretty bad, because it's just one day, so it's back to back. So I think it'd be pretty tough to manage if you're a content creator. Because I also play Legends, but I don't play religiously just because I don't have the funds to. Because I always want to summon on new units, but now I have to choose which one do I summon for. Do I summon for Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, or do I summon for Dokkan, where I mainly do my content on?
Are you saying it costs money to play Legends? Is that what you're saying?
Well, to be competitive, when you fight a full Zenkai team, it's very scary. And when you have like only like level A equipment, it's like or S equipment, it's just so terrible.
I think Dokkan has sort of been on like this trend recently where they've just been releasing sort of like not very hyped Dokkan Fest units. We had like Int Broly, which is the exception, I think, to that. But I mean, we have Goten and Trunks. We have Videl. Now we have Kid Gohan. I mean, Kid Gohan, I wouldn't really say is super underhyped. He's moderately hyped, but it's not like Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta's coming, right? I don't know. I feel like this is something that maybe they're just trying to do. I saw some Japanese people on Twitter talking about this the other day. They were like, okay, maybe they're pushing out these lesser hype characters because of the fact that they know that they can't compete with like Uma Musume right now. So they're waiting for that game to sort of fall off a little bit. And then they're going to start releasing all these hype characters. Yeah.
That's a good theory.
Have you guys ever played it?
I actually watched quite a bit of gameplay for it. So I understand how it works. I just haven't played it personally.
Okay. I've seen Nano play it, and I don't know. It just doesn't click for me, but I'm not hating on the game. It's just, it's, you know, interesting.
That's game. Like, if you want to play with horses, go outside.
It's a very Japanesey game.
Yeah, I think we talked about it on a previous episode, and weren't you saying that like once people could start going out to the actual horse races again, it's very possible that it might drop off. But
yeah, horse racing is a very popular activity in Japan. Just to even just go and watch or bet on it. I don't know if that's gonna make the game die off at all. I think it actually might help it a little bit. Like they might have some like event in the game where it's like, oh, horse racing's back open. Like we're gonna have a big event to celebrate or whatever in the game. You know, they'll probably do something like that. But yeah, I don't know. It's to be seen. We have to wait and see what happens.
All right, enough of this Moo House Party shenanigans. Let's go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you for your questions. And that is going to be the end of the show. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Huge thank you to Hydros for manning the boards and keeping this stream afloat. Don't forget to follow us over on Twitch, Twitter, Discord. Check out the Facebook fan page, the subreddit, the website, everything. All of the links are everywhere, so make sure you lock in to the 59G network today. And if you miss any part of the show, fear not. All of your favorite podcasting platforms have you covered. Google, Apple, Spotify, and many more. Subscribe and do not skip a beat. Join us right here tomorrow for the next episode of the Dragon Ball Legends podcast. For the Masked Ningen, Minato's Flash, DBZ Blaze, and Goresh, I am Toon Rami. Thank you once again for watching. Stay tuned and always remember to Dokkan responsibly. Bye-bye.
Well, one last thing. We are doing a subathon for Legends tonight, so if you want to come up to check out that, make sure to come out and check out the Legends subathon for when the banners do drop for the 3rd anniversary. So just want to mention that.
4 a.m. Eastern time.
Nice.
Yes.
What he said.
Yeah, we're all going to be dead, but yeah.
Okay, bye-bye.
peace.